This is just one aspect of the inside job. That there were bombs in all those buildings. They blew them sky high. Then you get into all the other areas. It's just every area you look at, it's unending. Okay, I'm sorry it's an inside job. Okay, I wish our country wasn't run by complete psychopathic murderers who will shoot up Guatemalan children and black people in this country with syphilis and watch them die. I wish they weren't putting sodium fluoride in the water to give you cancer and give me cancer and attack your genitals and reduce your fertility. I wish that every major GMO crop in every major study didn't cause organ failure in every mammal species. Okay, I wish the globalists weren't out in the open saying they want to set up a world government and kill us.
They call it coordination of regulation. What it really is putting the American economy under international regulation. Yep. And those people who have been yelling, oh, the UN's going to take over global
conspiracy
government.
Theorists.
They've been crazy, but now they're right.
Yeah, well, when Geithner said he would be open to the idea of a global currency last week, those conspiracy people had said and suggested that for years. Right. You're not wrong.
Gold looks higher, currencies look weaker, all for the reasons that we talked about before. I mean, you've got huge wage disparities. I don't know how that inevitably resolves itself. It may resolve itself in some type of a global currency crisis. And then if the global currency crisis unfolds, then inevitably you get, I guess, an alignment under a global world government, a new global currency, and a new world order. So we may be moving towards that.
Talk to us a little bit more about this currency crisis you see erupting. What does that assume about what's going to happen to the dollar?
Well, it assumes that the dollar will utterly get destroyed and become virtually worthless.
They're not just going to bankrupt the country. They're not just going to lower your standard of living.
After these kind of catastrophic collapses, sometimes they're followed by war.
If you think they got a police state going into high gear, staging 3,000 deaths at 9/11, that PNAC said a year before, in September 20th, 2000, barring a Pearl Harbor event on the mainland of the U.S., we won't be able to launch these wars against Iraq and Afghanistan and Iran. If they'll do something like that, ladies and gentlemen, they'll do anything, and they're destroying our entire civilization. Our entire society is under attack by this. I'm begging you, if you've been a critic of 9/11 truth, and you haven't looked at the evidence and you make jokes about it, this isn't a joke. This is your life we're talking about, our lives. Go watch all the firefighters. Go watch all the videos. Understand this is impossible. Understand that Willie Rodriguez, who was, this big hero on national TV, that he was then demonized for saying, no, there were bombs going off. The firefighters all know about it. There were bombs going off down the bottom of the World Trade Center North Tower. He's a hero. He's had the courage to come out with many others, and then they get ridiculed. And then for 9 years, they say the dust isn't bad for you, and it turns out the government knew and lied about it. And I saw the New York Post call the firefighters and police ambulance chasers that they're trying to get medical care. Just like our troops who are exposed to the depleted uranium. Our troops are exposed to the depleted uranium. The Army's own reports know it's going to give them cancers, birth defects, kill them with degenerative cancers and other disorders. And, they just say, it doesn't matter. The Pentagon and the Veterans Affairs, the VA, will not give them medical care for the DU because they won't admit DU's hurting them when the Army's own manuals. I've had the head of the Army's DU program on the show. A lot of his team have died. He's had 20-plus surgeries. In fact, I want to play a clip, give you guys a heads up. I want to play 1843 clip. Keep your eye on that building. It'll be coming down soon. Now, before this CNN footage got inadvertently re-aired in a CNN Remembers a few years after, I talked to the firefighters and police and had them on this show and gave speeches with them in New York, who saw, they were saying, what's going on? This is at 20-something in the afternoon. Why are you saying get back from 7? And they said they're bringing it down. The firefighter commanders, the police commanders, and the globalists spin this and say, you're saying the fire chief and the police were involved. No, they're compartmentalized. They're told, get back, it's coming down. So they didn't hide that fact. They go, get back, it's coming down. Keep your eye on that building. It's going to be blowing up in a minute. And you've had all the local newscasts that we've aired where they were saying, we're thinking about blowing up 7. Well, then the question is, how did you blow up 7 so quickly? How did you get bombs in a building that had already blown up in the morning when nothing hit it? As police and the deputy head of emergency management, Barry Jennings, and others have said on record. Now, let's go ahead and play this clip of the cops saying, get back, keep your eye on that building. It's not going to be there in a minute. Here it is.
Keep your eye on that building. It'll be coming down. The building is about to blow up. Move it back. All right, guys.
We are walking back. There's a building about to blow up. In flame. Debris coming down.
Just in the last few seconds, another building, building number 7, one of the buildings in support of the World Trade Center towers, has collapsed. This is no small building, as you can see, at 47 stories. It would stand out in most American cities.
I wish this wasn't true. I wish this wasn't the case. Okay, I wish that 9/11 wasn't an inside job, but it is. Just with the bombs, just with the buildings, that's total proof, and the thermite residue and all that evidence. And good people in government who aren't part of the dark side, they tried to stop all this, like Anthony Schaefer, the colonel. And now it's come out with other witnesses in the Pentagon that he's telling the truth, that they were blocked from stopping Al-Qaeda when it was running this operation because Sybil Edmonds, who was tracking it as an FBI translator, listening to the NSA tapes, she said on the day of 9/11, the CIA was commanding Al-Qaeda in Afghanistan for a major attack. Running Al-Qaeda. Sybil Edmonds, running Al-Qaeda. She told the 9/11 Commission that, and they slapped a gag on her. But she broke the gag last year. A lot of courage. The radical Muslims work for the globalist. Look at Saudi Arabia, where 15 of the supposed 19 came from. Are we ever told Saudi Arabia is bad? No. Any secular government that doesn't put women in burqas, any secular government that has 60% of their college graduates, including doctors, being women like Iraq, they're going to be set up, demonized, and destroyed. Does it mean Saddam was perfect? No. But he's a lot better than Saudi Arabia. He was our stinking ally until the globalists set him up and told him to invade Kuwait. April Gillespie, it's on video. They gave him $30+ billion to attack Iran 8 years before, and it was the same teletype, same message. Do you want me to attack Iran? They said, we're not going to get involved in Arab affairs. He said, yes, sir, and launched the attack. He was put in power by black ops, by the people that run this government. Our government has been seized by foreign banks. We don't have a government anymore. We don't have a country.
Here's the facts, and we don't even talk about these things. On Thursday at about 11 o'clock in the morning, the Federal Reserve noticed a tremendous drawdown of money market accounts in the United States to the tune of $550 billion was being drawn out in a matter of an hour or two. The Treasury opened up its window to help. They pumped $105 billion in the system and quickly realized that they could not stem the tide. We were having an electronic run on the banks. They decided to close the operation, close down the money accounts, and announce a guarantee of $250,000 per account so there wouldn't be further panic out there. And that's what actually happened. If they had not done that, their estimation was that by 2 o'clock that afternoon, $5.5 trillion would have been drawn out of the money market system of the United States, would have collapsed the entire economy of the United States, and within 24 hours, the world economy would have collapsed. Now, we talked at that time about what would happen if that happened. It would have been the end of our economic system and our political system as we know it. And that's why, when they made the point, we've got to act and do things quickly, we did.
Many of us were told in private conversations that if we voted against this bill on Monday, that the sky would fall, the market would drop 2,000 or 3,000 points the first day, another couple thousand the second day, and a few members were even told that there would be martial law in America if we voted no.
they saw the banking system at the brink of collapse. In order to keep it functional, to keep depositors safe, they basically did whatever they had to do in the way of making money, creating money, to keep the system afloat. They've kept the system afloat, but there's a cost to that, and that's inflation.
Now, you actually reckon that now we've had all this stimulus and stimulus coming along, you foresee quite large inflation. Give me your outlook, maybe 3-4 years out into the future.
Well, 3-4 years out into the future, I think we could be in a hyperinflation.
Because this is going to unleash rampant inflation around the world, rampant confusion in the currency markets, and you're going to have currencies gyrating all over the world. Bond markets are going to start to collapse, and then we're going to have a real problem. And that's why the stock market understands this. They're unleashing a inflationary holocaust, because they don't know what else to do, and they're making mistakes.